What is the truth, and how will it set us free? We have read that you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. We read that in John chapter 8. Well, we are here to develop understanding, spiritual understanding, as well as cognitive understanding. But the truth we know, well, it changes. There's that little t truth that we have. That is the truth as we know it now. But that changes as life changes. Well, look at history. For most of humankind, we knew that we could not fly. People could not soar through the air. But on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers got a plane going. It was only going 20 feet off the ground, only 120 feet long, only 12 seconds. That was the first flight. They did 3 that day, and the last one was 852 feet, 59 seconds. And now, of course, we fly all over the world. We fly to the moon. We send rockets out into space. Now, it wasn't all that long ago. If you wanted to speak to somebody, they couldn't be more than a few hundred yards away. If they were 2 or 3 blocks away, you could yell. Maybe they would hear you, maybe not. Maybe they would not. But now we speak across the world. We can speak to the space station. There's 7 billion people on this planet that have mobile phones. That's almost 90% of the world's population. See, the little t truths change as we evolve, as we become aware of new possibilities, as we put a divine idea into action. This happens on a grand scheme, but it happens individually too. See, the little t truth is a belief in our imagined limitations. But something is always moving us forward. Something is drawing us forward to be more of who we came here to be. Think back on some of your accomplishments. You did not know for sure that you could do what you did to get the certificate, to get the job, to develop that special relationship, to overcome that great difficulty. But you were inspired by something you saw or heard, or by a person who believed in you and helped you learn to believe in yourself. A friend many years ago invited me to Toastmasters. It's a public speaking group. It's where you learn to speak in front of other folks. It's one of the greatest fears that people have, is speaking in front of other people. Well, I went with some trepidation. Then I joined, and after a few weeks, it was my turn to do my first speech, which is called the icebreaker. It's called the icebreaker because you basically just speak about yourself, but you have to have it practiced ahead of time. You have about 5 minutes to give this talk. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna nail this. And I thought, there's no nerves at all went well. And then I remembered that I had a glass of water and my mouth was getting a little bit dry. So I picked up the glass of water and I was shaking so much, the water went everywhere except my mouth. I thought I had it handled. You may have had to combine some hope and faith with some patience and deep and abiding understanding when you are facing these things, because the truth wishes to be expressed, the whole truth, the big truth. Oh, by the way, with all that practice over years and years, I can now drink a sip of water in front of people. Now, there you go. Our little t truth is being moved forward. It's being moved upward in consciousness by a big T unchangeable truth. See, the big T truth wants to be known. It's the big T truth, the truth of God, that sets us free. It sets us free from doubt. How often have you just doubted yourself or others, or even doubted God? Maybe you had your faith challenged. You can be freed from worry when you can really trust that all things are indeed working together for good somehow, even if you don't have it all figured out. That big T truth can free you from anxiety, from a need to blame others, from guilt, blaming yourself. Mainly, the big T truth can release you from your limiting beliefs. These are things that we were taught along the way, that we were somehow limited. But in truth, the only limits we have are the limits we set on ourselves. These things, doubt and worry and anxiety and limiting beliefs, only have the life that we give them. In big T truth, you are free to be peaceful, be on purpose with your purpose. In big T truth, you are free to be all you are created to be, only limited by your limiting beliefs. And those can continue to diminish. They can dwindle as you continue to move forward in your spiritual awareness. You've heard me speak before, perhaps, about how I don't believe there's such a thing as spiritual growth. Because spiritual growth insinuates that there's something less than that needs to grow in us spiritually. But in truth, the spiritual part of us is 100%. We are perfect. What we are growing in is awareness of that spiritual truth, that uniqueness, that connection we have with God. The Dalai Lama, when asked about what surprised him most about humanity, said, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. Well, we started with the scripture, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free, from John chapter 8, verse 26. To know the truth, when we look at the original Greek, the word is ginosko. Ginosko means to perceive, to understand, to realize, to come to know. So when we know the truth, it may be instant, maybe a coming to know, a realization that happens over time. And that is our goal, our opportunity. See, gnosko is a knowledge that has an inception, and then a progress, and then an attainment. You may have had that happen when you were wondering about something, and then finally had an aha. Now I understand. It's the recognition of truth by personal experience. It might be an instant knowing. Quite often, it's a dawning awareness. Our opportunity is to discover this big T truth and practice it in our lives. I have a personal mission. I might have shared this with some of you before. My mission is to demonstrate peace, joy, acceptance, and the power of choice. And that requires that I seek a higher truth. See, peace is not always happening around me any more than it's always happening around you. But because I have the power of choice, I can choose to see peace, even when things are somewhat chaotic. I can take a breath and remember that all things are working together for good. I don't have to know everything about everything. Things are usually not as bad as they may appear. So I choose peace. Where do you need to choose peace? You can use this same mission statement if you want to demonstrate peace, joy, acceptance, and the power of choice. It's not just knowing it, it's about demonstrating it, practicing it. What about joy? Well, you and I feel many emotions, and sometimes those emotions are upset, anger, worry, sadness. Joy is not about not feeling these emotions. We want to feel all of our emotions. We just don't want to stay in those that are unpleasant for us any longer than necessary. All of our emotions, all of our feelings are there to help us become as human as we can. And we are also spiritual beings. So we are allowed to have our feelings, but we don't want to stay in those feelings any more than it takes for us to do the healing and growing and knowing that we need to do. In every daily word, you'll have at least one day where the theme is let go and let God. And that leads us into the acceptance part. We want to accept that life is on purpose and we are on purpose with life. We accept others for who they are. So easy to judge others for the way they dress, how they speak, their views on politics or religion, or how they treat themselves or others. But each person is at their essence a spiritual being. And we can at least accept that by seeing the Christ in them. And as we do, we want to accept ourselves for who we are and who we are willing to be to the best of our ability. We are spiritual beings seeking to have this human experience the best that we can. The power of choice. Now, I know I've not always made the best choices, but within my power, I still try. So I try to choose peace, to choose joy, to choose acceptance. And what this requires quite often is using a power that's not one of our 12 powers specifically that we talk about in unity, but it is a power of surrender. It is that letting go and letting God. It's about practicing true humility. Humility, I equate to teachability. If we are living with some humility, we are always learning. We're not comparing ourselves to others because that's not wise. When we do that, well, it seems that God has a way of helping you see the error of your ways over time. And sometimes that leads to humility, from humus, which is low, grounded. But we can take on humility. We can say, I made a mistake. I didn't know. I am here to learn. Please accept my apology. It doesn't make us less than. It makes us able to grow our soul even more. See, the meaning of our existence is not invented by us, but it's detected by us. We all have meaning. We don't invent it. We find it along the way. We read in Matthew chapter 19, Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. When I find myself up against situations that just confound me, I need to remember things like this. It seems impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And if all things are possible, then it's not about giving up in defeat. It's about doubling down in faith, saying, okay, I'm ready. Show me, lead me, use me the best that you can. Let me be all that I am created to be. In Luke, we read, do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's important for us to know, and I've heard this before and I love it, that the universe is conspiring to support us. That what God, this energy that we call God, seeks is to be proven, to give us all that we can accept as we open our hearts and our minds to those possibilities. And then Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to God's purpose. What's the purpose of God? God's purpose is to be expressed as light, as love, as creativity, as openness, as acceptance, as using the power of choice the best we can rather than shrinking from it. We are here to grow our souls. And 8:26, verse 8:26 of John, once again, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Notice when you are practicing the little t truth, it's easy to see. You feel limited and frustrated, unsure, maybe disconnected. We've all had that from time to time. But your highest truth wants you to truly and fully experience God. And God is wanting to be experienced by you. So please know this truth. You are free to be fully and exactly all you came here to be. God bless you.